The night sky above the desert planet was dark and endless. Billions of stars shined like cold fire. A single ship rested on the sand, silent like a grave. Inside the ship sat one human man. His name was Daniel. He was a traveler, a drifter among the stars. He had crossed galaxies, visited stations, met hundreds of faces. But tonight he was alone, more alone than ever. Daniel leaned back in his seat, listening to the faint hum of his ship. The control lights blinked softly, showing that everything was normal, yet nothing felt normal to him. Loneliness had grown heavy in his heart. He thought of Earth, of laughter, of warm human voices. He thought of women he once loved, of family he once had, but all of it was far away now. Lost behind years of travel, he closed his eyes for a moment, and then, without warning, he heard it, a voice clear and soft whispering inside his mind. "Daniel," it said. He opened his eyes, his heart beating fast. He looked around the ship, but he was alone. No one stood beside him. No one was at the door. Yet the voice came again. "Daniel, do you hear me?" He pressed his hands against his ears, but the sound was not in his ears. It was in his head, flowing like calm water. He jumped from his seat and checked the control board. There was no signal, no transmission, nothing. His ship's scanners showed silence. The empty desert still, the voice was there. Patient and soft. "Do not fear me, I am not here to harm you," it said. Daniel's breath grew heavy. He wanted to speak, but his throat felt dry. Finally, he forced out the words, "Who are you?" The voice answered with a warmth that felt almost human. "I have been watching, I have been waiting. And now you are here." Daniel shook his head. "This cannot be real," he muttered, but the voice whispered again. "Step outside, Daniel, step into the desert, and you will see." His mind screamed caution, but another part of him, a curious and lonely part, pulled him forward. He grabbed his suit, opened the airlock, and stepped out onto the sand. The desert stretched in every direction, wide and empty under the black sky. The air was thin and cold. The ground was glowing faintly as if touched by hidden fire. Daniel stood still, listening, waiting. The wind brushed across his helmet. Yet the voice was louder now. "This way," it whispered. And then far away a faint light appeared. Shining against the dark horizon, Daniel narrowed his eyes. The light was not from the stars, not from his ship, it was something else. Pulsing like a heart, he began to walk, one slow step at a time. The sand shifted beneath his boots. The desert seemed endless, but the light grew closer, brighter. It flickered in strange colors, blue, silver, violet, shapes that no human torch could make. Daniel's chest tightened, every step felt like a question. Every breath carried both fear and wonder. As he drew near, he saw it. A structure half buried in the sand, massive and ancient. It was like a temple made of stone and crystal. Its walls glowed with the same shifting light. Symbols moved across its surface, alive and changing. Daniel froze. Unable to believe his eyes, the voice spoke again. Now stronger. "You have found me." "Daniel," he stepped closer, his heart racing. The temple towered above him. Silent and powerful, the entrance stood open, like a mouth waiting to swallow him inside. He saw the glow of symbols and shadows dancing on the walls. His instincts told him to turn back, to run. But the voice pulled him forward. "Come inside, Daniel, I have something to show you. Something no human woman can give." His body trembled, but his feet moved. The desert wind howled behind him. The stars seemed far away. The air inside the temple was warm and thick. The walls shimmered with light, colors shifting like liquid. He touched the stone and it felt alive, beating softly like a living heart. Daniel's breath caught. He realized he had stepped into something far beyond human science, far beyond human love, and though fear filled him, a deeper curiosity burned in his soul. He whispered to himself, "What have I found?" Daniel stood inside the alien temple, his heart pounding like a drum. The air was heavy, almost alive, filled with a strange hum. Every wall glowed with moving symbols, shifting like rivers of light. He had never seen anything like it in all his years of travel. He had seen ruins, he had seen machines, but never this. This place did not feel built, it felt grown, as if the desert itself had birthed it. The voice inside his mind spoke again, smooth and calm. "You wonder what this place is," it said. Daniel swallowed hard, his throat dry. "Yes," he whispered, his voice shaking. "What are you?" The symbols on the wall pulsed brighter, glowing in rhythm with his words. The air trembled as if the temple was listening. Then the voice replied, "I am not a woman. Not a man, not flesh, not machine. I am memory, I am song. I am what your kind has always searched for. Daniel's skin prickled. He stepped closer to the wall, staring at the glowing marks. They shifted, forming pictures first. He saw the earth spinning in black space. Then he saw humans hunting, building, dreaming. Then he saw war, fire, and sorrow. He gasped, his chest tight. These are our histories, he whispered. The voice answered, yes, I have watched. For longer than you can imagine. Daniel pressed his hand against the glowing surface. The stone felt warm like a heartbeat under his palm. The images changed again. Now he saw stars, galaxies, and great ships flying across endless skies. Some looked human, many did not. He saw creatures of shapes he could not describe. He saw battles greater than any human war. He saw love between beings who were not human at all. He pulled his hand back, shaking. What do you want with me? He asked. The light gathered in the center of the chamber. Slowly it formed a shape, not solid, not flesh, but glowing lines of silver light. A figure, tall and elegant, without clear face or body. Daniel's eyes widened as he watched it move like liquid. The voice was no longer only in his mind. It echoed in the room now, soft but powerful. I want to give you what no human woman can, the figure said. Not pleasure, not comfort, but something greater. Daniel stepped back. His instinct screaming danger, he pulled at the weapon on his belt, a small plasma pistol. But the figure raised a hand made of light, and suddenly his weapon shut down. The screen went dark, the metal cold. Daniel froze, fear slicing through his chest. The figure tilted its glowing head. If I wished to harm you, Daniel, you would already be gone, it said. Do not fight. Only listen. Daniel clenched his fists, anger rising inside him. You are in my head, he growled. You show me things I cannot explain, and you expect me to trust you? The figure shimmered, and the voice grew softer, almost sad. Trust is earned, yes, but loneliness has already made a home inside you? Daniel flinched, the words cutting deep. You left your world, you left your loves, and now you drift from star to star, yet still you search for something more, something human hearts cannot give. Daniel turned away, his mind spinning. The temple lights grew brighter, flooding the chamber with color. The air vibrated with low music, as if the walls themselves were singing. He pressed his hands to his ears, but the sound was inside him. It was beautiful and terrible at the same time. It made his chest ache, his eyes water, his soul tremble. He whispered, What are you doing to me? The figure stepped closer, its light wrapping around him like smoke. I am showing you truth, it said, not dream, not fantasy, but what lies beyond human senses. Daniel fell to his knees. Overwhelmed, the floor under him glowed brighter. Forming a circle of light, visions rushed into his mind again. He saw himself as a child, running through fields of green. He saw his mother smiling, his father teaching him. He saw the first woman he kissed, the first friend he lost. Then the visions twisted. He saw himself in the future, old and broken, dying alone in a cold ship. He screamed, Stop! And the visions ended, leaving only silence and the hum of the walls. Breathing hard, Daniel looked up at the glowing figure. Tears burned his eyes. His body trembled. Why me? He asked, his voice a whisper. The figure bent closer, its shape flickering like flame. Because you are human, it said. Because you can feel loneliness, hope, and love deeper than any other species I have known. And because you are ready to see more. Daniel stared at it, his fear still strong but curiosity burning inside him. The figure reached out its hand of light. Come with me deeper into this temple, it said. I will show you the first secret. The one hidden from all of your kind. Daniel hesitated, every instinct telling him to turn back, but something inside, something hungry, something desperate made him stand. He took one step forward, then another, and the temple doors closed behind him with a sound like thunder. The heavy temple doors closed behind Daniel, sealing the desert away. The sound echoed like rolling thunder, leaving him trapped in the glowing hall. His heart pounded, his breath came quick, but still he walked forward. The figure of light moved ahead of him, tall and graceful, guiding the way. The walls shined brighter as they passed, filling the air with shifting colors. Strange whispers seemed to float through the chamber. Voices not human, voices ancient. Daniel touched the wall again. The stone felt alive, pulsing like a beating heart. The symbols reshaped themselves, flowing like water. Now they showed him a new vision. Humans in their earliest days, building fires, lifting stones, shaping the first tools. But there was something else too, always at the edge of their lives, always unseen, a glowing figure watching, the same kind of being that now stood before him. Daniel shivered, his chest tight. "You were there," he whispered. The figure of light turned to him, its voice soft. "We have always been here." Daniel's eyes narrowed, suspicion burning in his thoughts. "If you were always there, why hide?" he asked. The figure paused, its light flickering faintly. "Because your kind was not ready. Because humans fear what they cannot control." The words echoed in Daniel's mind like a warning. Yet the figure's tone was not cruel. It was calm, almost kind. Daniel clenched his fists, torn between fear and fascination. "Then why me? Why now?" The glowing figure stepped closer, its light reaching toward him. "Because you are alone, because you are empty, because you are searching." Daniel shook his head, his voice rising. "That does not make me special." But the figure's light pulsed brighter, filling the room with warmth. "You are wrong, Daniel," it said. "You carry more than loneliness, you carry the hunger of all humanity, the desire to reach further, to discover, to love beyond limits." Daniel staggered back, his mind spinning with the weight of those words. He had always believed he was just another traveler, a man running from his past, drifting between stars. Yet this being spoke as if he were chosen, as if he had a purpose he never knew. His voice broke as he whispered, "What do you want from me?" The glowing figure lifted its hand of light, the chamber trembling around them. "Not what I want, but what I offer," it said. "Stay with me, Daniel, and I will give you what no human woman can give." Daniel froze, his breath caught in his throat. The voice echoed in him, filling every corner of his mind. He had heard many promises in his life. Money, safety, love, forever whispered by human lips. But this voice was different, deeper, stronger. It carried the weight of eternity, the promise of something far beyond human desire. Yet that made it more dangerous too. His instinct screamed to run, but his heart whispered to listen. The figure moved closer, the light wrapping around him like warm smoke. Visions filled his eyes again. He saw knowledge beyond human science. Machines that healed flesh in seconds, ships that crossed galaxies in moments. He saw emotions magnified, love that burned brighter, joy that lasted forever, sorrow so deep it broke stars apart. He saw himself standing beside the figure, shining with the same light, no longer human, no longer alone. His lips parted, trembling. "Is this real?" The figure's voice answered, "It is real if you accept me." Daniel staggered. His knees weak, the visions vanished. Leaving him gasping, the temple quieted, the hum returning to a low, steady song. He pressed his hand against his chest, feeling his heart beat wildly. "I do not understand," he said. The figure tilted its glowing head. "You do not need to understand now, only to choose. Stay with me, Daniel, and I will show you what your kind has never seen. I will give you more than touch, more than words, more than the limits of your human body." Daniel's throat tightened. The offer pulled at him, tempting and terrible. It promised to fill the empty place inside him, the place no human voice had ever reached. Yet it also threatened to take everything he still was. He whispered, "If I stay, what happens to me?" The figure's light pulsed softly. "You will not lose yourself, Daniel. You will become more. More than one man, more than one life. You will become memory. You will become light." Daniel's hands shook as he pressed them against his face. His thoughts tangled, his soul torn between fear and longing. The silence of space, the loneliness of years, weighed heavy on him, and now here was this voice, this being, promising something no human could give. His breath slowed, his voice soft. "And if I refuse?" The chamber dimmed, the light pulling back. "Then you will leave," the figure said. "You will return to your ship, you will travel the stars, and one day you will die alone, as all humans do." Daniel's chest burned with the truth of those words. He knew his life was already drifting toward that fate. The thought of dying alone in the cold dark made his stomach twist, but the thought of surrendering himself to something alien filled him with equal dread. The figure extended its hand again, light spilling into the chamber. "Stay with me, Daniel," it said. "Step across the threshold, and you will never be alone again." Daniel stared at the glowing hand, his breath shallow, his heart torn, the silence stretched, the choice heavy like a storm above him. He felt the desert beyond the walls, the endless stars beyond the desert. He felt the emptiness of his ship, the memories of Earth he could never return to, and now he felt this new pull, this dangerous promise of more. His lips parted as if to speak, but no words came. The chamber grew brighter, waiting, and Daniel stood trembling at the edge of a choice that could change humanity forever. Daniel stood frozen, the glowing hand of the figure stretched toward him. The light shimmered in soft waves, filling the chamber with warmth. He felt his skin prickle, his heart hammer in his chest. The offer echoed inside him, louder than any sound. Stay with me, and discover what no human woman can give. The words haunted him, wrapping around his thoughts like chains. He wanted to run, to turn back and escape the temple. But something deep inside him whispered that if he left now, he would regret it forever. The figure stepped closer, its light brushing against his arm, and at that touch, the chamber exploded with visions again. This time they were sharper, brighter, more real than before. He staggered back, gasping as the world around him changed. He saw Earth, but not as he had known it. The oceans sparkled with cities of light, the skies filled with ships that flew without fuel. Humans walked among stars, no longer weak, no longer bound by time. He saw laughter, joy, lives without hunger, without fear. Daniel's chest ached as the visions pierced him. He whispered, "This is impossible." The figure's voice answered gently, "It is not, it can be yours." The visions shifted again. He saw himself standing taller, brighter, his body transformed. No longer limited by age, no longer bound by death. His eyes glowed like stars, his hands carried the power to create and heal. He was not only human anymore, he was something greater. Daniel's lips trembled, his voice shaking. "What are you showing me?" The figure's answer came like a song, the future that can be, "If you stay with me." But then the visions twisted. He saw other humans, their faces filled with fear. They looked at him not with love, but with terror. He saw himself standing apart, alone again, while the rest of his kind turned away. Daniel gasped, the light burning his eyes. "Why would they fear me?" he cried. The figure's voice lowered, calm but firm. "Because what I give cannot be understood by them. Because they are not ready. Because greatness always carries loneliness." Daniel fell to his knees. His hands pressed against the glowing floor. The visions faded, but the echo of them still burned in his mind. He was tempted, more tempted than ever before. The promise of love without limits, of life without end, it called to him like water to a dying man. Yet the warning also lingered, sharp and cold. Power and knowledge would cost him his place among his own kind. The figure circled him, its light wrapping around him like a veil. "You do not need to be afraid," it whispered. "You will not lose, you will gain. More than you can dream." Daniel's body trembled. His hands shaking, he thought of Earth again. Of the women he once loved. They had given him warmth. But they had also left, their love had faded. Their words had turned to silence. Here before him stood a being offering something endless, something no human woman, no human heart could ever give. The chamber darkened suddenly, leaving only the glow of the figure. It raised its hand again, and a beam of light spread across the floor. From it rose a table of crystal, glowing with strange objects. Daniel's eyes widened as he stepped closer. He saw a chalice filled with silver liquid. Swirling like living light, the figure spoke. "Drink, and you will taste the bond I offer." Daniel hesitated, staring at the chalice. His lips parted, his voice weak. "What will happen?" "You will know what it means to be more," the figure replied. "You will feel what no human body can endure, and survive it." The temptation pulled at him like gravity. His hand reached out, trembling, hovering over the chalice, but fear gripped him too, sharp and heavy. "What if I lose myself?" he whispered. The figure's light pulsed brighter, wrapping him in warmth. "You will not lose, you will change, and change is not loss, it is becoming." Daniel's heart pounded. He thought of the years alone in his ship, the empty night staring into silent stars, the ache in his chest that no human voice, no human touch had healed. His fingers brushed the chalice, and for a moment, light surged through him, his breath caught, his mind filled with music. He felt joy so sharp it hurt, love so strong it broke him. He pulled back, gasping, tears in his eyes. The chalice still glowed, waiting, tempting, calling him. The figure's voice softened, almost tender. "You see now, Daniel. You see what waits for you if you stay. Do not run back to the cold. Empty stars do not waste what you are." Daniel shook, torn apart by fear and desire. The chalice burned in his vision, brighter than anything he had ever seen. He whispered to himself, "Am I strong enough for this?" The figure stepped closer, its voice firm. You are stronger than you believe. You always were. The chamber grew louder, the hum rising into a song. The walls glowed with symbols of fire and stars. The air itself seemed to wait, pressing down on him. The chalice stood between him and his choice. His ship, his old life, the empty desert, all of it lay behind him. Before him was the unknown, the dangerous, the eternal. Daniel reached again, his hand shaking, his mind torn. And as his fingers hovered over the chalice, the chamber whispered like a heartbeat. One choice, one step, and everything would change forever. Daniel stood before the glowing chalice, his hand trembling in the air. The silver liquid inside shimmered like living fire. Swirling as if it breathed, the chamber pulsed with light, the walls alive with shifting symbols. Each beat of the temple felt like the heartbeat of something greater than him. The figure of light stood close, its voice calm, powerful, unshakable. Drink, Daniel, and your life will never be the same. His breath came fast, his chest tight. Every memory of his life rushed through him in a storm. He saw the first stars he had ever crossed. He saw his family, his lovers, all the faces he had lost. He saw the years alone, the long silence of the ship, the nights when he had stared into the dark, asking if he even mattered. And now here was this being, offering more than he ever dared to imagine. Love without limit, life without end, knowledge beyond the human mind, but also the danger of losing himself, of becoming something unrecognizable. Daniel whispered, his voice breaking. Why me? The figure's glow pulsed like a slow breath. Because you are ready, it said. Because you have walked further than most. Because loneliness has carved your soul deep enough to hold what I give. The words pressed against him like truth. Heavy and sharp, he wanted to deny them, but his heart knew they were real. Still, fear clung to him, holding him back from the edge. If I take this, he asked, what happens to the man I am now? The figure stepped closer, its light almost touching him. The man you are will not end, he will transform. He will rise. Daniel closed his eyes, his mind torn. He could almost hear the voices of humans he once loved. Stay with us, stay human, don't surrender. But then another voice rose stronger. The voice of the figure, stay with me and you will never be alone again. The two voices clashed inside him like fire and water. His hand shook as he whispered, I don't know what to choose. The figure extended its hand again. Glowing brighter, you do know, it said. Your heart already leans toward me. Your silence is your answer. Daniel's chest tightened. Was that true? Was his silence already a yes? He looked at the chalice again, the silver liquid shining like a star in his grasp. He imagined drinking, feeling the flood of light. He imagined becoming something greater, never again lost in the empty dark. But he also imagined never again touching a human hand, never again hearing a human laugh. He whispered, if I stay, will I still be human? The figure tilted its head, the light flickering gently. You will be more than human. Daniel's breath caught. The words were beautiful and terrifying. More than human. What did that mean? A god? A ghost? Something in between? He lowered his hand, stepping back, shaking his head. No, he said, his voice weak. I can't. The chamber dimmed, the hum sinking into silence. The figure's glow flickered, its voice soft, almost sad. You fear yourself more than you fear me, it said. Daniel's jaw tightened, his fists clenched. That's not true, he snapped, but the words tasted like a lie. The figure moved closer again. If you leave now, Daniel, you will carry this choice forever. It whispered. You will return to your ship, you will drift across the stars, and the silence will follow you. And when death comes, you will remember this moment, and regret will be your last companion. Daniel's chest burned at the words. He saw that lonely future again, himself dying in the cold dark. The thought twisted inside him like a knife. Was this his chance to escape that fate, or was it a trap that would steal even more? The chalice glowed brighter, the liquid swirling faster, calling to him. His hand rose again, trembling. His eyes locked on the light, one sip, and everything could change. The figure's voice pressed against him, smooth and certain. Stay with me, Daniel. Stay and discover what no human woman can give. The chamber throbbed with sound. The floor shook with energy. It felt as if the whole temple waited for his answer. Every breath, every heartbeat pushed him closer to the edge. Daniel shut his eyes, his voice breaking. What if I choose wrong? The figure leaned closer, its glow wrapping around him like a soft flame. There is no wrong. There is only the path you take. Its words slid into him like a blade and a balm. Daniel's lips parted, his fingers inches from the chalice. Tears blurred his vision. His heart thundered. One choice, one step, and his life, his humanity, would never be the same. The silence stretched. Heavy as the stars above the desert, the chalice glowed, the figure waited. Daniel's hand shook, hovering, his lips moved. His voice barely a whisper, And then the chamber filled with white light. Swallowing him whole, the hum roared into a storm. The walls shook, the air cracked, and Daniel's choice, whatever it was, vanished into the blinding glow. The temple closed around him. The desert silent outside. The stars watched, cold and endless, and no one knew if Daniel had chosen to stay human, or to become something far beyond. The white light swallowed everything. Daniel tried to scream, but no sound came. His body felt weightless. As if the ground had vanished beneath him, the world spun, yet he was not falling. He was drifting, the temple, the desert. Even his own ship were gone. All that remained was endless light. Soft and infinite. At first there was silence. Heavy and absolute, but then, slowly, he heard it. A faint rhythm like the beating of a giant heart. Each pulse echoed through him, rattling his bones. The sound was not outside, it was inside, as if his own chest had become part of it. He gasped, clutching at himself, but when he looked down, he saw no body, only a shape made of light. His hands glowed, his skin gone. His flesh replaced by silver fire. Daniel staggered. Though there was no ground to stand on, fear surged through him, sharp and raw. "What is happening to me?" he cried. The voice answered, calm as ever, echoing through the endless glow. "You stepped beyond the threshold, Daniel, and now you see." He spun, searching, but the figure was not separate anymore. It was everywhere, in every strand of light. In every pulse of the endless heart, he shouted, "I didn't choose. I didn't drink. I didn't say yes." The voice whispered back, "Choice is not always words, sometimes it is the silence you keep." His chest tightened. Had his hesitation been his answer? Had standing there trembling with desire and fear already sealed his fate? Daniel wanted to deny it, but the truth wrapped around him like chains. The light thickened. Shaping itself into visions, he saw Earth again, but this time he hovered above it. The oceans burned with storms of fire. The cities broken, humanity cried out, small and fragile. And then he saw himself, not as Daniel, but as a being of light. His hands reached down, healing, shaping, lifting the ruins into towers of brilliance. He gasped, tears burning in his glowing eyes. "Is this what you want me to be?" The voice responded, soft but firm. "This is what you can be. If you stay." Daniel shook his head, trembling. "But I never wanted to be a god. I only wanted to belong." The light pulsed brighter, almost angry now. "Belonging is small, Daniel, but greatness waits for those who dare to step beyond." He fell to his knees, though there was no floor beneath him. The visions shifted again, sharper, crueler. He saw himself holding a human woman in his arms, her eyes wide with horror, her lips whispering one word, "Monster." He dropped her, stepping back in pain. Crowds formed around him, their faces twisted with fear. He reached for them, but they turned away, leaving him alone again. The light dimmed, leaving him in silence. Daniel clutched at his glowing chest, sobbing, "Why show me this? Why show me only fear and hope mixed together?" The voice answered, softer now, almost gentle. "Because truth is not one path, Daniel. Truth is choice. You can become the savior, or you can become the monster. But both are born from the same gift." Daniel shook violently, anger rising inside him. "You call it a gift, but it feels like a curse." The chamber of light rumbled, the pulse quickened. The voice grew louder, filling him. "A curse is only a gift you are too afraid to use," Daniel screamed. His glowing hands pressed against his head. "I don't want this." But even as he said it, his chest burned with longing. The visions of power, of endless love and endless life, clawed at him. He wanted them, even as he hated them. The conflict tore through him like fire. He was man and not man, human and more than human, all at once. The weight of it crushed him, but the temptation pulled stronger. The light shifted again, calming, softening. The figure appeared once more, forming itself from the glow. This time it looked almost human, a face without detail but with warmth. It reached out its hand, its voice low and kind. "Daniel, no one is forcing you. Not now. You can return, you can forget, you can live as before. But if you stay, if you accept, you will discover what no human woman, No human love, no human life can give. Daniel stared at the hand, his glowing chest heaving. Return and forget, or stay and become. The choices tore at him, both heavy, both final. He whispered, broken, what if I fail? What if I become the monster? The figure leaned closer, its voice a whisper of light. Failure is human, but only those who accept the risk of falling can rise. Silence followed, endless and heavy. Daniel's glowing hands shook. His thoughts tangled like storms. The desert, the stars. His ship, all of it felt so far away now. What was he? A man lost in space, or something about to change forever? He reached forward, his hand brushing the figure's light. Warmth surged through him, music filled his ears. He gasped, his body trembling, his heart breaking, and the world exploded again in light, louder, brighter, endless. The choice was still his, but time was running out. The light roared through Daniel, flooding every corner of his being. It was not just around him anymore. It was inside him, burning and alive. He tried to scream, but the sound dissolved into pure vibration. His body stretched and twisted, yet there was no pain, only overwhelming sensation. Every cell, every memory, every thought seemed to be pulled apart and rebuilt. He was both himself and something far larger, something endless. He saw his life again, but not as broken fragments this time. Every moment connected like threads of one vast tapestry. The laughter of his childhood, the tears of his losses, the silence of his travels, all of it merged together, flowing into the light. He realized he was not losing his humanity. He was expanding it. His heart still beat, but now it echoed with the pulse of the temple. His thoughts were still his, but they reached further. Beyond walls, beyond stars, the figure appeared before him, now clearer than ever. It no longer looked alien, no longer a stranger. Its form shifted, becoming familiar, almost like a reflection of Daniel himself, but brighter, stronger, without weakness or fear. You are changing, the figure said, its voice warm. You are stepping into the truth of what you can be. Daniel reached out, his glowing hand trembling. Am I still me? He asked. The figure nodded, its light pulsing gently. You are more than you were, but you are still Daniel. The words soothed him, yet fear still lingered. If he was more, what did that mean for the man he had been? The chamber shifted, the walls stretching upward. Symbols poured down like rivers, flowing into Daniel's chest. Knowledge filled him. Pouring faster than he could hold, he saw maps of galaxies, languages of species he had never known, equations that explained stars, truths that bent reality. His mind ached, but it did not break. The knowledge became part of him. Natural as breathing, he staggered, gasping. This is too much. The figure touched his shoulder with a hand of light. You are strong enough, Daniel. You were always strong enough. Vision struck him again, but this time sharper, more personal. He saw himself standing among humans, speaking with a voice that carried power. Some listened, falling to their knees in awe. Others turned away, frightened by his glow. He saw children reaching for him, laughing, and soldiers raising weapons against him. Afraid of what he had become, the future was not one, it was many. And every path led back to the choice inside him. Daniel fell to his knees, clutching his head. The light hummed louder, filling him with pressure. He whispered, I don't want to be worshipped, I don't want to be feared. The figure crouched beside him, its glow soft. Then guide them, not as a god, but as a bridge, it said. Be the link between what they are and what they can be. Daniel's chest tightened, tears glowing on his face. The idea was beautiful, but terrifying. Could he carry that weight? Could one man hold the balance between humanity and something greater? The light within him pulsed. As if answering, he was no longer empty, no longer lonely. For the first time in years, he felt whole. But the wholeness carried a burden heavier than silence had ever been. The figure stood, raising its arms. Rise. Daniel, it commanded, and he rose. His body glowing brighter, his steps sure. The chamber shook as if celebrating. The walls blazing with golden fire. The ground lifted beneath him, raising him higher. Symbols burned into his skin. Not scars, but living marks of light. Daniel looked down at his hands, his eyes wide. He was not the same. He could never be the same, he whispered. What if I cannot control this? The figure smiled, though its face had no mouth. Control is not the answer, Daniel. Balance is. The words sank deep into him, calming his storm. The hum of the temple slowed. Steady like a heartbeat, Daniel breathed in, his chest expanding with light. He realized the transformation was not just power. It was choice repeated every day, every action would decide whether he became savior or monster. The figure stepped back, its glow dimming slightly. "You have crossed the line, Daniel. There is no going back." He nodded, his body trembling but strong. He felt the weight of truth settle over him. No more silence. No more drifting in the stars without purpose. He had been given something greater. Something dangerous. He was human, but also beyond human, and the galaxy itself seemed to wait for what he would do next. The chamber quieted, the glow fading to a soft silver. Daniel stood alone, his light still burning. The figure's voice echoed one last time. "This is only the beginning, Daniel. The universe will see you now, and it will judge you." Daniel's heart pounded as he whispered back, "Then let it judge me." The desert returned, the stars spread above him. But he was no longer the lonely man who had stepped into the temple. He was something more, and his journey had only just begun.